Now, using the calculator to do these two types of tests, basically we like to use a lot of technology. It finds me the exact value instead of estimating in those tables. So the first one, if we go back and do the completing the maze problem, this is when I knew the standard deviation of the population. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit the stat key, and if you notice my cursor stays there because we're in statistics and we're testing. We're not calculating anything, we're testing. This is called a z-test. It's called a z-test because I know the population standard deviation and I'm finding the z-score. I don't have the data, but I have the statistics. I have the values that come from my sample, and it looks like my mu is 18 and my standard deviation was 2. My sample mean was 17, and my sample size in this was 10. So I got all that out of the problem. And the direction of my test, this is very important, it was a less than test. And if I go down and hit calculate, you will see that the z-score is negative 1.58, exactly what occurred in the problem, and my p-value is 0.056. Mine's a little different because we had rounded that. You probably don't want to round always because it's going to throw off that p-value. It may actually cause you to reject or accept depending on the roundness. Okay, let's try the other problem that we just did on looking at home sales, and we actually have the data. So in my calculator, we're going to do the same thing. I always like to clear my screen. I'm going to go into stats, and I need to enter my data. So notice I've put the home prices in there for the square footage cost. We're going to go to stat. We're going to go over to test. Now this is called a t-test because I do not know the standard deviation of the population. So when I hit enter, I now have the data. My data, if I look here, my mu, I was assuming that it was $37.80. That was the average. I stored my data in list 1. Don't worry about frequency, just make sure it's a 1. And this test is two-sided because I didn't know if the price was higher or lower. And if I go down to calculate, now notice I chose a t-test. It will do it on a z-test, but you've chosen the wrong test, so the values that you will get will be inaccurate. This is a t-test. When I hit calculate, notice my t-score of negative 2.45 is right there. That's what I got. My p-value is 0.057. Okay, remember, we had to estimate where it was at. We couldn't find the exact. That's why I like the use of the calculator. Just double checking my data. My x-bar was $34.30, and my sample standard deviation was 3.48. Again, my problem when I did it by hand, I rounded that. Calculator doesn't round.